Yesterday, on the 20th of August, 2025, a huge tragedy has just unfolded. And that tragedy has really exposed the deep seated issues at the very core of Indonesia. The curtains have now been pulled back, and now we are left to face the reality with our eyes wide open. There is no longer any room for denial. The choice before us is really simple, right? Do we speak up of this topic or do we not? Do we remain silent? And for me, the choice is actually pretty clear. Of course, as this video is being made, I want to share my perspective on this heartbreaking situation. But then, of course, first of all, it's really crucial to establish the context. What has exactly happened? How could it have happened? And who is it to blame on the situation? Oh, and finally, what is my personal response to it? So, for the first question, yesterday, a viral clip has sent a lot of shockwaves throughout the nation. If you have seen it in TikTok, Instagram, or whatever social media you're using, it is really concerning. And if you haven't seen it yet, a video has been circulating, showing a massive armored brigade car striking a Gojek driver. The worst part and the information that truly shattered me is that the driver was actually just 1 year older than me. He was born in 2004. His life was cut short, leaving behind his family and his future, which is unwritten. He is dead, and this information actually pretty sent me into a deep, unending cycle of thoughts. I kept asking to myself, what if it were me? The people who are supposed to protect us, the police, or institutions, appear so to be uncommitted, so disconnected from their duty to prioritize the safety and well being of our nation, right? If we can trust them, then who can we trust for legitimate physical protection? So that's the first question. The second question is, of course, if we are talking about times of crisis like this, the search for accountability is really important and something that has been naturally being sought by a lot of people. In my opinion, there are three groups that bear the heaviest weight of responsibility. And I'm going to start discussing by the ones that I think are the least guilty to the most. But I just want to say that the least guilty doesn't mean that they're not guilty. They are still very, very guilty. So yeah, the first one that I want to talk about is of course the House of Representatives, DPR, right? One individual in particular is the Deputy Chairman of Commission. I mean, if you guys are active on Instagram or TikTok, you guys might have seen him. His name is Ahmad Saroni. He has drawn a pretty significant attention, not gonna lie. And if you go and take a quick look at his social media, he pretty reveals himself to live a pretty lavish lifestyle filled with displays of luxuries, treasures, motorcycles, and everything else. The problem is these are treasures that were in large part acquired with the nation's money, our tax money, right? And to make matters worse, instead of showing remorse or working to make things right, he has reportedly blamed to the very people he is meant to represent, us, right? Even going so far as to call us idiots. I mean, is this how a true representative of the people should behave? And if this is how he acts in public, then I can only imagine the behavior that happens behind closed doors. It shows a truly twisted mindset. Really sickening. So, yeah, that's the first one that I want to address. And for the second one, of course, our lovely president. I will not speak much about him, only to raise my concerns, as at the same time, I must remain cautious. I don't want to get caught. So I'm just going to ask some of my primary questions. First one, where was he in the midst of the chaos? I mean, I don't want him to appear in public to be killed, but I just want to know, where is he? Why didn't he just, talk about it in social media or address something real quick? And why has he failed to fix this deeply corrupted system? His promise, from an outsider's perspective, things have only gotten worse since he was elected, where, you know, the promises that he made were not really real. And I believe that a president should be the main catalyst for everything that happens in his or her nation, especially Indonesia. If he had just put in a little more effort to ensure that the members of the House were compatible with their roles, then I'm pretty confident and I'm certain that things would be different. And that's the main concern that I have with our president. And finally, of course, the group that I believe to be the most blame is something that's pretty concerning too. This is a perspective that a few people are willing to openly discuss because it's really, really dangerous. But yeah, here I am. So the third party that I want to discuss is our nation itself. And before you condemn me, allow me to explain. This well, before I want to explain, I just want to say that there's a warning. This is a warning. What I am about to say is pretty unfiltered. It is my unfiltered thoughts, maybe. My honest perspective based on what I have known or what I have experienced. So, yeah. And I will also be talking about religions and races. And so, without any further ado, here is what I think. If we dig deep enough to find the root cause of our problems, we will inevitably arrive at the tragedy of the 98. The events of that year unleashed a huge amount of racism, jealousy, anger, greed, and everything in between. And yeah, just regardless of their ethnic background, everyone could have had that. And as you know, my people, the Chinese Indonesians, Cindo, were subjected to horrific violence at that time. Many of us were tortured, many of us were assaulted, killed, annihilated, and all of those things in between. And the worst part is, a lot of us, the majority of us, carry the trauma of that incident. And for some reason, it has become a fuel for vengeance. A lot of people that I know, though certainly not the majority, has made the decision in the last election driven by this fear right here that I have just discussed. They voted for the current president and paid other people too, simply to prevent, number one, Anies Baswedan from winning. The reason for their fear is rooted in Anis's very public Islamic views, which many of us worry could reignite the radicalism of the 98 tragedy. And of course, we do not want to see that tragedy repeated. We do not want to be attacked by those who believe their faith makes them superior or more dominant in our nation. Well, despite Anis being a very intelligent person that I know, the way he presented his vision was simply just unacceptable to a lot of Chinese Indonesians because because it's simple. It just didn't feel safe. And as a result of the current president's victory, these underlying issues have continued to fester and unravel by these days, with things seemingly getting worse every day and things just not inclining to a good position that we all have dreamed of. So yeah, that's what I thought. And oh, my personal stance, of course, I completely forgot to discuss about it. So yeah, I want to be clear that I am not here to attack or defend anyone. I have a stance for myself, and I truly believe that I have the right to speak about my perspective too. And of course, you are welcome to disagree with me, and I am always open to change my mind, but on the core issues that I've just raised, I actually cannot find any justification for the current state of affairs. So, yeah, people usually ask me, or lately they've asked me, how do you feel as a supporter of the current administration or the current president? What do you think of everything that has been happening lately? Are you going to remain silent? Just like you used to be on political issues? Because usually I do not talk much about political issues and stuff. Well, here is my answer. I am utterly disappointed. I had a vision of a president with iron hands, a leader who would do whatever it takes to fix our broken system. Yet, I've seen barely any progress. And all I can see is just regress, or I can say a regression from what I used to look up to. I used to be able to turn a blind eye to these type of things. But the recent tragedy is a major, not danger, jeopardy to our nation's future. And when we can no longer trust our cops, our apparat, who can we seek protection from? It just doesn't make any more sense. What happens if the majority of native Indonesians decide to wreak havoc? Yeah, whatever it is again. The 98 tragedy, the one thing I never wanted to happen, actually feels so much closer than ever. And even though, this channel right here is primarily for me to practice my English, I kind of felt compelled to share my authentic thoughts and to preserve my mindset at this certain critical moment. And so, yeah, those are my final thoughts. And whatever happens, I just think that for the people who are still staying silent, speak up. Oh, I got a call. And for those of you who haven't, thank you for listening.